Hello and welcome to Threefold Herbal Healing. I'm Herbalist Leo. I help people who are sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, or people that struggle with chronic conditions grow their health from the roots up. Today, I'm springing into spring. In New Hampshire, where I live, spring is teasing us with not one, but several mud seasons. But when May arrives and the sun is shining, you can feel the energy shift in your bones. The word spring literally means to originate or to arise from. Spring is the season of the rebirth of nature. Historically, it was the beginning of the year when lambs and babies were born. Spring moves us close to the longer day of the year. Although we consider the rising temperature as the catalyst for the budding of the trees and bulbs, it is the increase in daylight that allow plants to manufacture enough sugar from sunlight that then quicken growth that is associated with the spring season. People, like plants, experience the quickening of vitality in spring. While in the winter, the energy was more of cuddling indoor with a book, a cup of tea. Spring calls for emerging into nature and into action. So let's talk about first the energetic in generals. Healers from all over the world observed nature and they were looking for patterns that can describe how life processes manifest in different natural phenomena, in plants, in ecosystems, in human being, in human condition. They were looking for patterns. I'm a traditional Western herbalist, so I adhere to the Western energetic system, and the Western system grew out of the four elements: earth, water, air, and fire. Herbalists also observed and looked at three qualities that show up on a spectrum. So the form. Form gives a natural phenomena the boundaries. Phenomena can manifest in too much form, then you get rigidity, or you don't have enough form, and then everything is too relaxed. Think about a guitar string, for example. You have to have it in the right length and the right tightness in order to produce an harmonious sound. If the string is too lax, it's not going to produce any sound at all. If it is too tight, the sound that it will produce will be too high, it doesn't resonate, even painful. Now let's talk a little bit about fluidity. Fluids are the foundation of life. They carry nourishment and they carry toxins. They promote the vitality. All natural phenomena need fluids to carry the nourishment and to remove toxins. But too much dampness, congestion can create stagnation. Think about the bogginess of a swamp that attract bacteria and mosquitoes. On the other hand, dry land can support any life. So think about the desert where almost nothing can grow because it's too dry. In a healthy being, the fluid moves but don't overflow and leak. Another quality, the third one, is the temperature. A phenomena can be either hot or cold. Too hot is like fire, all-consuming. Extreme cold, like in the poles in our Antarctica, inhibit all movement and growth. Not much can grow in places that are really freezing cold all the time. Extremes, as in conditions in people, are signs of imbalance that need That means that the organism needs some support. Those three qualities created 6 tissue states that can be applied to nature, to plant, to people, and to condition. So let's take those condition, those patterns, and apply them to spring, to a season. Spring is an in-between season, not winter, but not summer yet. It is not the cocoon anymore, but it's neither the butterfly. As the snow melts, the soil is muddy, which means it loses some of its solidity. It has less form, making spring a damp and relaxed season. Can you see that? Let's talk a little bit about the flavor or the taste that is associated with spring. The taste of food is important because it can inform us about the phytochemicals in the food or in the medicine and how they might affect the body. Spring is associated with the bitter taste. The bitter taste is generated by a set of chemicals, mainly derived from plants, that either once were or still are toxic to some degree. Those plants develop the bitter compound to protect them from insects, animals, and humans. What they are actually telling us is to stop, be cautious, eat in small amounts, and if you ingest it, be ready to digest and eliminate as fast as possible, because it might be toxic to have it in the body. The bitter taste is associated with the liver, which is the largest detox organ in the body and is known to stimulate liver enzyme and bile production. All traditional diets included all 5 flavors in a well-balanced way. It is only in the last 100 years in the Western culture that sweet and salt flavors became so much more dominant in most, if not all, people's diet, and bitter tasting food and herbs become absent from the diet. The Western aversion to bitters is so deep that it is reflected in the language. Sayings such as "until the bitter end" or "bitter pill to swallow" demonstrate how much, as a culture, we link bitter taste to negative emotions. Herbalist Jim McDonald wrote about deep bitter deficiency syndrome. If each taste is vital in stimulating or sedating a process in the body, once you avoid a flavor, the body is out of balance. Jim believes, and I totally second his understanding, that in many cases where we recommend using herbs to stimulate and correct digestive issue, bitters work because there are cases of people with bitter deficiency syndrome. So when we see a problem and then we see something helping it healed or transform, maybe we don't have enough of it in everyday life. Spring actually gives us many opportunities to consume bitter tasting herbs and food. As young fresh leaves that emerge from the ground in early spring are usually bitters. Herbs like dandelion, wild lettuce, sorrel, chicory, and foods like arugula, mustard green are some of the bitter leaves that you can add to your plate in the spring. Now let's talk about the element that is associated with spring, with the melting snow and the rushing water in the rivers. Spring is associated with the water element. The water element relates to the kidneys and the lymphatic system. While the liver really recycles toxins hormones and medicine. It transformed them to water-soluble compounds that the kidneys can then eliminate. The kidneys function as a water filter that filter about 50 gallons of fluids daily, most of which are reabsorbed back into the body. But around 1 or 2 quarts per day are extracted in urine. By governing the water element in the body, the kidney play a vital role in waste product filtration, fluid balance, and that has to do with heart pressure, blood pressure, and electrolyte balance. Electrolyte or salts are hardening. In Paracelsus, the alchemy teacher, there are 3 alchemical processes, and one of them is salt, and it represent the force that is contracting, condensing, crystallizing, keeping the integrity of the form in the body. It is the force that balances the damp, lax state associating with spring. With rushing water and muddy trails, spring needs the form created by the salt processes. After a long winter spent mostly reclining indoors and having heavy meals, there is a need to remove excess toxins and fluids. A lot of people experience edema because of lack of movement, some heaviness because of all those heavy meals. That's the time in the spring to let it go and return to the integrity of the body, of the form of the body. So what types of herbs will work well in the spring? Herbs that affect the water element in the body are either diuretic, encouraging urine production, or alteratives, herbs that alter metabolic processes and promote detox, herbs that have to do with the lymphatic system. Diuretic herbs are primarily salty. They promote urination by increasing the minerals in the body. Some diuretic herbs that are more common in the spring are nettle, chickweed, cleavers, and dandelion. Alternative herbs that are common in the spring are violet, that I really love, and nettle. Those herbs can shine as an infusion, especially sun infusion, or in pesto or fresh salad. Be aware that nettle is really stinging, so you don't want to eat nettle as a salad. Just before summer arrived and we lose ourselves in the warmth and color of nature, spring is here to remind us not to muddy the boundaries and to keep the integrity of the body and soul by letting go of the excess and embracing simplicity. My favorite season, spring. I invite you to add your comments, ask your questions, and I'm very grateful for you taking the time to listen to me. I would love to hear back from you. Thank you, and have a happy spring.